What if I told you that one of the most famous and successful couples in the world had a dark and twisted secret that led to their divorce? It is the untold story of cheating, betrayal, broken promises, public humiliation, suicide attempts, and of course, a bitter ex and baby mama who openly wished for their downfall. Sounds too juicy, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen, the greatest NFL star and the former highest-paid supermodel who seemed to have it all, till they lost it all after 13 years of marriage. Tom made the terrible mistake of sacrificing his wife and kids for something that he would eventually lose 3 months later. The million-dollar question is, what is worth more than the joy and happiness of your wife and kids? This is the untold story of how Gisele Bundchen sacrificed it all for the sake of Tom Brady, but called it quits because he refused to fulfill a 10-year-old promise he made to her. In this video, we'll also show you how their marriage was doomed from the start, plus how Tom's obsession with his career and refusal to honor his promise to Gisele drove her to the edge of no return. You won't believe what we've uncovered, so make sure you stick around to get the full scoop. Let's get started. You probably know Tom Brady is the GOAT who won 7 Super Bowl rings and broke countless records in his 23-year career. You also probably know Gisele Bundchen as one of the highest paid and most influential models in the world, who graced the covers of hundreds of magazines and walked the runways for the biggest fashion brands. Together, they were the power couple that everyone admired and envied. They had a beautiful family, a lavish lifestyle, and a seemingly perfect relationship. But behind the scenes, things were not as rosy as they appeared. Gisele herself confessed that her marriage wasn't a fairy tale, as she had some bitter tales to tell. The truth is that Tom and Gisele's marriage was doomed from the get. It all began with how they met. In 2006, Tom was dating actress Bridget Moynihan, whom he had been with for 3 years. They seemed happy and in love until Tom met Gisele through a mutual friend. Interestingly, before meeting Tom Brady, Gisele had experienced a monumental heartbreak with Leonardo DiCaprio, who, according to his notorious reputation of never dating girls above 25, ditched her in 2005 immediately after she turned 25. She'd been dating him for 6 years. According to Gisele, when she first met Tom, it was love at first sight, and she knew right away that Tom was the one for her. She told Vanity Fair that she felt a connection with him that she had never felt before. She said, "You know that feeling of like, you can't get enough? From the first day we met, we've never spent one day without speaking to each other." But there was one problem. Tom was still seeing his ex, Bridget Moynihan. And to make matters worse, Bridget became pregnant with Tom's child. Yes, you heard that right. Tom had gotten another woman pregnant while he was already dating Gisele. How did that happen? Well, according to People, Tom and Bridget had broken up in December 2006. Some reports even claim weeks before December. But 2 months after their official breakup, Bridget announced that she was 3 months pregnant with Tom's baby. This would be the beginning of the unending rivalry between Bridget and Gisele. Bridget's pregnancy meant that Tom had already started dating Gisele while he was still with Bridget, or at least immediately after they split. Talk about a messy situation. Can you imagine how shocked and hurt Bridget must have felt when she found out that Tom had moved on so quickly, and with a supermodel for that matter? She told Harper's Bazaar that it was a very challenging and painful time for her, and that she had to deal with a lot of media attention and scrutiny. She said, "Going through that traumatic time of being heartbroken and then being pregnant turned my whole life upside down and inside out, just knocked the wind out of me." And for that, she seemed determined to ensure Tom and Gisele's relationship wouldn't work out. It took 15 years, but eventually her desire came true. But Bridget was not the only one who suffered. Gisele also had a hard time coping with the news that her new boyfriend was going to be a father with his ex. You can just imagine what she must have felt like. She told Vanity Fair that it was a very difficult and confusing situation for her and that she considered leaving Tom. She said, "It was kind of one of those moments of like, do I just run away? And I think, 8 weeks later I got a call from him and he said that he was expecting a baby. And I thought, wow, okay, and I felt like I didn't know what to do." But Gisele decided to stay with Tom and to support him and his son when he was eventually born. She said that she felt a responsibility to be there for him and that she loved him too much to let him go. Speaking to Vanity Fair, she said, "I think, now 8 years later, I couldn't have asked for a sweeter bonus child." But not everyone was happy with how things turned out. Tom's ex, Bridget Moynihan, harbored resentment and bitterness towards Tom and Gisele's relationship, but especially towards Gisele. She made it known through some subtle and not so subtle ways. For example, in October 2022, when it was clear to everyone that Tom and Gisele were going through a rough patch in their marriage, Bridget made some cryptic posts on Instagram that seemed to hint at his ex's relationship troubles and told them to give up and split. One such post was a quote from a therapist, Vienna Farion, which she reposted. The quote read, "Not everything is meant to be mended. Not all relationships are meant to last a lifetime. Sometimes we have to learn to get comfortable with the gifts that are offered through the ruptures and the endings, instead of the stories of repair and reconciliation. And of course, she had a lengthy caption in which she advocated that some relationships are meant to end when faced with its share of challenges. Many fans speculated that Bridget was taking a jab at Tom and Gisele, and that she was secretly hoping for their divorce, since her word of advice is telling Tom and Gisele to simply give up on their marriage and let the rupture tear them apart, rather than working it out to see if it works. Noting her bitterness, one fan commented, So agree, learn from them and move on. Better to be better than bitter." Another time Bridget proved to the world she was actively wishing Tom and Gisele to break up was when Tom announced that he was coming out of retirement to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This came as a shock to many people, especially his wife Gisele, who'd been trying to convince Tom to retire for years. She'd even written him a heartfelt letter, telling him how much she loved him and how much she wanted him to spend more time with their family. Tom had agreed to retire after winning his 7th Super Bowl ring, which was in February 2021, but changed his mind exactly 40 days later and decided to unretire. This caused a lot of tension and frustration in their marriage, and Gisele felt betrayed and disappointed by Tom's decision. But guess who was happy for Tom? His ex Bridget. While it was clear to everyone that Tom was being selfish and self-centered, Bridget took to Instagram to congratulate him on his decision to unretire. She posted a screenshot of the CNN article breaking the news while captioning it, "Thank God, I had no idea what I was going to do with my Sundays. Congratulations, Tom Brady, so proud of you." But her fans were quick to spot the negativity, and one fan commented, "Not sure what to do with your Sundays, aren't you married? Petty woman, showing support because you're not in the wife's shoes, although you wish you were. Sad." Many fans saw this as a subtle dig at Gisele, who'd been trying to get Tom to quit football for a long time. They accused Bridget of being insensitive and disrespectful to Gisele, and of wanting Tom and Gisele to break up. The fact was that Tom Brady's a selfish, career-only man. As far as he was concerned, his career must always come first before his family. In fact, he once revealed that getting married and having kids before his late 30s wasn't part of his original plan, because he didn't want anything to get in the way of his career. Putting his career first above his family wouldn't have been a problem if he hadn't promised his wife otherwise. According to Gisele, she had a heart-to-heart talk with her husband at the start of their relationship, and he promised her that after 10 years and 1 Super Bowl win, he was going to retire and be fully focused on their family. But he failed to honor his promise because, as it turns out, he wasn't a man of his word. This made Gisele unhappy, especially since she fulfilled her part of the promise by choosing to let go of her modeling career and moving to Boston just to take care of the kids in the house. In case you were wondering what Gisele gave up, did you know that in 2016, Gisele Bundchen was the highest paid supermodel in the world? But she gave up all that because she believed in family above all else, and because she wanted to honor the promise she made to her husband. It was therefore a slap to her face that 10 years had passed. He had won 4 more Super Bowls but didn't want to retire, while she took care of the kids alone and forego her career. She had to write him a heartfelt letter reminding him of her love, devotion, and their promise. This made him retire, but then he unretired 40 days later. She couldn't put up with it anymore, especially since she had had a history of contemplating suicide while she was still dating Leonardo DiCaprio. She wasn't going to let that terrible thought eat her up again. In October 2022, Tom and Gisele announced and finalized their divorce after 13 years of marriage. They said they had amicably finalized their divorce and that they would continue to co-parent their 2 children, Benjamin and Vivian. But the truth is, it was a bitter and painful end to a turbulent and troubled relationship that was marked by humiliation, jealousy, selfishness, and controversy. It was a relationship that was doomed because Tom was never a man to honor his word, nor a man to make sacrifices. It still remains a mystery that Tom Brady would finally retire less than 4 months after his divorce was finalized, simply because he just wasn't ready to give up his career. Or why do you think he was willing to lose his family over a career he would eventually retire from 3 months later? It was a scandalous divorce that showed how some celebrities such as Tom Brady, whom we adored, ruin the things that ought to matter to them the most because they sometimes choose their career due to ego and self-centeredness. It also shows that there are others like Gisele Bundchen who are willing to sacrifice it all for the sake of their family, no matter the fame or fortune that comes with their celebrity lifestyle. Which are you, the egotistical partner or the sacrificial lover?